fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Terran hashtag from the Transformers Earthspark line from Hasbro, the line that seemingly never dies. I know these technically came out a while ago, but I was finally able to find this at a fairly local Target. My very closest Target doesn't really carry these anymore. They have tons of those glow-in-the-dark Megatrons that nobody wants or asked for, but they have not been getting this last wave in. So I believe this last wave is Soundwave, Thrash, hashtag, and then like a repack of Optimus for some reason. So, yeah, I don't know. I was finally able to find this. I was pretty excited. Soundwave is the one I definitely want the most. I've still not been able to find Soundwave, but we'll check out hashtag here. I never found the Warrior class for hashtag. I assume distribution for this is very sparse because they've moved on to other lines. The show I don't believe is on anymore, and just kind of weird that these releases are still happening so late into the life cycle of this show. But this still has the old open packaging, so no window here. Some artwork of the robot mode and vehicle mode here on the front. Looks like some toy press shots for the robot and vehicle mode here on the side. It also says 2-in-1 real big. I mean, is that a selling feature? All Transformers are technically 2-in-1. That's what they do. They transform. I just think that's weird on the packaging. Maybe I'm overthinking it. And then you can see the picture just kind of carrying on to this side over here. Looks like the same two product shots on the back as on the side. So nothing new there. I kind of like the Terran logo. It's like a take on the Autobot symbol, which is kind of neat. I don't know, just the big 2-in-1. Maybe it's always said that and I've never noticed it before, but that's so weird. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get hashtag out of the box here and we'll take a closer look. So here is hashtag out of the packaging. I think she looks pretty good. Little bit of a backpack here, but it compresses pretty nicely and doesn't really get in the way of articulation. I think the head sculpt is good. Little simplistic. You have those giant visor eyes there. The silver paint for the face, though, looks nice. A little bit of blue there. I like the kind of like helmet that kind of looks like she's wearing headphones. And I also kind of like the kind of, samurai bun hairstyle there out the back. Some nice paint here on the chest. A little bit of silver there around the neck. Then you have kind of a chest that is simulating like a fake hood of the car or roof of the car and windshield. Not actually part of the car in the vehicle mode, but I do like that they simulated that there with the blue paint for the windshield. Silver on the chest looks nice. Headlights painted white, a little bit of yellow there for the tail lights, and then you have the kind of textured plastic there painted black for the grille. All of that looks pretty good. A little bit of gold there for the wheels. All of that's looking pretty sharp. You can see that on the side there as well. Articulation-wise, head's on a ball joint, so you can look all around. Look down a little bit. Can't really look up because you have the bun hitting into that there. But you can also tilt side to side ever so slightly. You have kind of a joint here that's mostly for the transformation, but you can move that up if you like. Otherwise, there's a ball joint there for the actual shoulder that can move all around. Get a little bit out to the side there. Then you have this, which kind of wiggles. This is mostly for the transformation. It's going to slide back. But if you want to use it for robot mode, you certainly can. You have a ball joint there in the elbow, as you can see. The hand wiggles a little bit up and down. Again, that's for the transformation, but if you'd like to utilize it in the robot mode, you certainly can. Nothing in the waist, but the hips can kick pretty far forward, pretty far out to the side, and even decently back before they hit into the backpack, so that's not too bad. Got a thigh swivel there on a mushroom peg. Got 90 degrees there in the knee, and then you have a ball joint down here for the ankles, so a little bit of front to back, tilt side to side, no problem, so you should be able to get some cool poses. Yeah. Backpack a little bit back here, but it compresses pretty nicely as we talked about. So yeah, honestly, I think she looks pretty good. I like the robot mode quite a bit. She does come with 2 accessories. So we have this crossbow pickaxe accessory. She can either hold it horizontally like a crossbow, or she can hold it vertically like a pickaxe. So dual purpose, that's nice. You can also kind of store it back here with the smaller peg. You can peg it here if you want to store it on the back and not have her hold it. However you'd like to orient that, you could put it like this, but unfortunately that's going to hit into the back there, so I would suggest putting it like this if you're going to store it on the back, which does look a little silly, but you can also peg this other blaster into it here, like so. I think this goes in here. Maybe I'm lying. I thought it did. I did it earlier. Maybe not. Alright, well, we'll scrap that. But this other tiny blaster can fit in her hand. And there is somewhere we can store that. You'll see that a little bit later on, but super tiny little blaster. So yeah, overall, I think she's got some good articulation, some good paint applications, molded details, pretty good. Interesting design. Not too much car kibble here on the back. Overall, pretty fun. So getting into the transformation, not too difficult. We're going to start here by grabbing this panel on the back and flipping this out, which will then allow the hand to fold in further. Then you can take the shoulder pad and kind of rotate that down so that this kind of straightens out like so. And then you want to kind of rotate that on the shoulder like this. So we'll do that again. Flip this out, fold the hand in, rotate this up so that it's flush with that shoulder pad, and then just kind of bring it around like this. At this point, you need to kind of wiggle this part forward ever so slightly, and then this whole back part will lift up. And then there's a part underneath here that you need to grab a hold of and flip out. Now this has storage for the tiny blaster, so you can see underneath here, that's what that peg is for. So this will peg into here. Now, if you want to store this in robot mode, you can leave that there, peg this, or pop that back up there, and then peg it back down. So you can store it inside in the robot mode if you prefer. It's a little, difficult to go back and forth. It's not quite easy access, we'll say, but you can absolutely store it there in the robot mode as well. So we're going to kind of straighten this out. Then we're going to kind of bring these up. So using that joint I talked about in there, these are going to come up like so. And the way you line it up is you can see that there's a tab right there on the forearm. And that's going to tab in underneath, right, let me get in a little bit closer so you can actually see, right there on the back, or I should say on the underside of the roof of the car. So you can kind of line that up and do the same with the other side, and then that will allow you to bring this down, and these little tabs here on the front will slide in to this front part section. So this will come down and kind of slide on and hold this all together like that. So there's the front section of the car, pretty much done. Not much left to do at this point. You're going to take the feet and you're going to rotate them 180 degrees and then just put them down like so. And then this is going to, you can see the obvious hinge right here. This is going to bend around and just form the back of the car like that. So once again, we are going to flip the foot around 180, fold it down, fold this at the hinge, bring it in, clip that into place, and then this will just kind of push down and clip into some spots here on the back of the legs to just fill that in. And there you go. That is hashtag in vehicle mode. So it's a cool little vehicle mode. I do like the look of it. I like that they painted all of the windows. I appreciate that. A little bit of paint here on the back, and I did mention previously the gold for the wheels, which I think looks pretty great. All of the paint here on the front for kind of the grille, and then these pieces underneath, the silver, the headlights, the blinkers, all of that. The tail lights are all painted in, which I think all that looks great. Rolls decently well. You can take the other accessory that we haven't stored yet, and that part that I thought I could peg the other part of the gun into is actually for this right here. I swear I thought I did it earlier, but I guess not. Maybe I imagined that. But anyway, you can put that on the back there. So you have total weapon storage with the gun being deep inside there. Underneath, not a ton of robot kibble. You do have the entire chest and the head. As I mentioned earlier, this is a fake simulated roof of the car and windshield. So yeah, I like the vehicle mode. Would you call it a pickup truck? Kind of, I guess. Kind of a squashed pickup truck. But I guess the most confusing part to me is that in the show, she was like a surveillance van. She scanned one of those like agency vans and it was the whole thing. And then they made her a pickup truck, and I don't really understand how that happened. I guess the full van was too difficult. I mean, I guess it makes sense. It would have to be significantly larger, probably taller. Then you have a lot of panels you're dealing with if you want the empty space inside. So, like, I guess I get it. But at the same point, where did they get pickup truck from? I guess they just figured close enough. So, I don't know. It's a fun transformation, and it's a decent little vehicle here. And I love the purple and the gold and the light blue. I think the colors work great. Plenty of weapons storage. It's just not the same vehicle that she was on the show. That's my only issue. Just weird. So I think this is a fun little figure. Honestly, the robot mode looks good. You know, the paint applications are there. Articulation's good. Love the color scheme. Love the head sculpt. Transformation, not too difficult. Pretty quick and easy to go back and forth. And I do like the vehicle mode that we get. I don't really have a problem with it in any way. It looks good. Holds together well. Rolls well. Enough paint applications in both modes. Like I said, it's just not accurate to the show. I guess I can understand why, you know, having her be like a giant surveillance van is probably just a little too difficult for them to figure out a transformation for. So I'm okay with it. I'm just a little perplexed. It's a little weird. And also just the whole fact that these are, you know, still coming out long after the show's over. And just a little weird to me. But it's a fun little figure. And the fact that these deluxes are still $19.99 holding at that price point, I can't really complain. With deluxes now soon to be, if not already, $28 a piece, getting this fun little guy or girl for $20 is definitely appreciated. So I think it's fun. If you can find one, I recommend it. They're very difficult. I've been checking online, Amazon, things like that. Like I said, I just happened to get lucky and find it at a Target. I'm wondering if maybe they'll eventually make their way to like Ross and those kind of secondary stores, just because they must have been produced and then just stores aren't carrying them. Obviously, you know, Walmart has long since moved on. Target's kind of getting some of them sparingly. Yeah, I don't know. So if you can find one, I recommend scooping it up. Still on the hunt for Soundwave. The Soundwave was the one I was most excited for, and I know it's going to be the hardest to find because everyone wants Soundwave. But don't sleep on hashtag in the meantime. She's definitely a fun little figure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.